Firstly, I'm so happy to be sitting next to you.
Same here.
After over 2 years.
For me,
the last
5 or
time
6 years?
Yeah, but now you're Hollywood
Oh,
now. What
please
can we do?
continue.
You are, yeah.
We're mere
I am
mortals.
sorry to interrupt. Please,
You
please.
are,
You're
your
mere
homeland
mortal.
is somewhere else now.
Entertainment doesn't mean comedy. Entertainment
Yeah.
means entertainment. Whatever that might be. When you're engaged.
Evidently, her self-control isn't too good. You have to put on a little bit of weight. मैं 15 kilo put on करूँगी.
Just a thought. Do you think that this story can be documented?
Yeah, why not? I think my grandfather's life was fantastic. I, as a grandson, would want to document for people to enjoy.
Hi, I'm Nimrat
And I'm Abhishek Bachchan.
And you're watching
BollywoodHungama.com.
.com.
Keep watching.
Keep watching.
Alright, we have with us Abhishek Bachchan and Nimrat Kaur. Their film is coming up, Dasvi. I'm personally looking forward to it. One of the reasons that I'm looking forward to is that it seems like a film coming from honest and healthy intentions, and it looks entertaining. Pleasure having you guys with us on Bollywood Hungama.
Thank you, Faridoon.
Thank you very much.
Firstly, I'm so happy to be sitting next to you.
Same here.
After over 2 years.
Over 2 years, yes.
For
think
me,
the last
5 or
time
6 years?
Yeah, but now you're Hollywood
Oh,
now. What
please
can we do?
continue.
You are, yeah.
We're mere
I am
mortals.
sorry to interrupt. Please,
You
please.
are,
You're
your
mere
homeland
mortal.
is somewhere else now.
हाँ, I think last time was Ludo के लिए हम लोग शायद मिले थे ना?
नहीं, लूडो के लिए नहीं अभी तो हमने मिले बॉब
नहीं, Ludo we sorry we did on Zoom. No, but last time we met was I think मनमर्जियाँ.
नहीं मनमर्जी के बाद हम लोग मिले
नहीं, after that all my films have come on OTT.
I think we had an interview in Janak, so maybe we'll discuss that later.
अच्छा.
Maybe I think.
But it's been a long time. It's
been a
good
long
to see
time.
you, buddy.
It's been a long.
Yes.
So,
I'm happy to see someone else though. You know that, no?
Right. He's happy to see you as well. Okay, so किसी भी फिल्म के लिए एक उसका नियत का कितना important है? What is the intention behind making a film?
सबसे पहले मुझे लगता है फरीदून कि whenever you make a film, your intention should be very clear. In the sense, हम ये फिल्म किस वजह से बना रहे हैं?
Right.
Now that can differ from people to people and from maker to maker, and that's their prerogative. I personally believe that the intention should always be to make a decent, good, entertaining product.
Right.
This is my personal belief. It's not just, oh, I want to manufacture a hit. I've learned that whenever you try and manufacture a hit or try and make something sensational, it never pans out that way. So I think the idea should be to do something which creatively will enrich you as a partaker in that process, and something that the intention is of clean-hearted entertainment. I feel on some level, as actors or filmmakers or anybody associated with films, primarily that should be our intention.
Right.
We're here to entertain people, and that should be the first thing. After that, there can be several others,
Right.
which is good. This film, I think, has its heart in the right place. I genuinely believe it. I don't say it frivolously. I genuinely believe that Dasvi has its heart in the right place. It's a wonderful film. It's a clean family entertainer. Great characters, a lot of fun, mazedar hai sab. But it also leaves you with a very sweet message. And if that's something that you're looking for, then I think this is the right film for you. If not, like I'm going a bit batty and saying this everywhere. This is not a film about a message. It's a total masala entertainer. But you leave with a message, so हमारे लिए तो सोने पे सुहागा है.
Yeah, I think subtle message हो तो अच्छा लगता है. It
जी.
should not be preachy because otherwise it becomes like
बिल्कुल, yeah.
no one is coming to get bored. So it has to be. So what is your definition of entertainment? Because you've done I think all sorts of content. And when I saw the promo and when you appear in the promo, this was a right. She looks like something else altogether. So what is your definition of entertainment?
Anything engaging emotionally. Interestingly, Irfan had once said something very sweet about, there was an interview going on and he had said that, he said that I have no interest in making intelligent films. It should be it should be a film that connects emotionally with
Well done.
people.
I love that.
Isn't that lovely?
Yeah.
I found that so original and so sort of felt coming from somebody like him, who was associated with a certain kind of cinema and things like that. But I think that's where it lies for me, as far as, I really took that quite seriously, and I have thought about it a lot. So before I read a script, I always remind myself of don't look at the cleverness in what's being written. See how your heart feels. You know, do you feel entertained? Do you feel moved? Do you feel sad? See, entertainment doesn't conform to a kind of an emotion, right? It can be anything. We've seen some really tragic films, but we've been engaged because it's somewhere entertaining. You know, it's a moment you are letting away, kind of going away from your own life. You are dedicating those 2.5 hours to something where you're just living that reality and you're submitting to whatever's going on there. So, whatever that emotion might be, horror, thriller, romance, drama, whatever, entertainment doesn't mean comedy. Entertainment
Yeah.
means entertainment, whatever that might be. When you're engaged, your mind, your heart, you don't feel like going and eating and coming back or going on the phone or, when you're just connected. It's like a good conversation,
No, definitely. And Irfan Bhai has had done all sorts of, I think, movies. In fact, one of his last works was Karwan, and I think he was hilarious in that. He was very, very entertaining. So, Abhishek, मैं एक आपसे share करना चाह रहा था before we come to something else. So, आज मैं भी जब आ रहा था, so I was just thinking that considering Nimrat is doing so much of content abroad, so हमारी खुशकिस्मती है कि आज हमारे साथ में
आप ये
बैठी
क्यों
हुई
बोल
हैं।
रहे हैं?
नहीं, मेरी बात
वो नहीं बोल रहे,
मेरी
वो
मेरी
already there's enough
मेरी बात तो सुनिए
sledging about it.
मेरी जो थॉट्स हैं मैं सिर्फ वो शेयर करना चाह रहा हूँ, बाकी उसके बाद फिर यू कैन टेक ओवर. सो आई वाज जस्ट अभी वो एक वीडियो में देख रहा था क्रिस रॉक का 2016 का ऑस्कर्स का.
अरे बाप.
सो उसमें प्रियंका चोपड़ा भी बीच बीच में दिखती थी स्पोरेडिकली. सो माई थॉट वाज कि आई थिंक कुछ टाइम के बाद में हम निम्रत कौर को हम ऐसे ही देखा करेंगे इंटरनेशनल शोज में. आपका क्या कहना है? मतलब हमारी खुशकिस्मती है कि इस वक्त हमारे साथ में. दिस इज समथिंग दैट आई वुड लाइक.
No, I think very honestly, she's a wonderful actor, and wherever she works, I think that project will be lucky to have her contribution and talent. I hope she does more work here. I know she's very keen to do a lot of work here, but I think the kind of work that she's already committed to doing in the West, they block a lot of her time. That's why we haven't seen her for so long. But I definitely feel that now that she's made this film and this is your mainstream big movie kind of thing, I think people have realized. In our industry also, you know what happens, Faridoon? I mean, I face something similar. I don't mean to make this about myself, but when I took that sabbatical, the attitude, if you're not seen, is, oh, they're not working. They don't want to work.
Yeah.
It's very important to be doing films. And when I say being seen, it's not being shot by the paparazzi, going to food hall or coming out of the gym or whatever. It's about work, right? It's about you have to be seen on screen. I think now she will definitely. I mean, I hope she wants to do a lot more work here because she's a wonderful actor and she should not deny us her talent. But I hope tomorrow if you are awarded for your work in the West, we'll be very proud. We'll be even more proud if you get awarded for your work in India, because that's what truly matters.
Thank you indeed. I can't agree more. I really, really want to be able to work more here. Really, genuinely.
All right. So, I don't know if I've really come across any actress in the recent times who has actually gained 15 kgs for a role.
Yeah, fantastic, no?
I haven't.
Amazing.
Thank you. But Kriti did it for Mimi.
Not, I think it was 5 kgs or something.
No.
More than that?
Absolutely.
was more
15
than
or
that?
16 kilos.
Evidently, her self-control isn't too good. You have to put on a little bit of weight. मैं 15 kilo put on करूँगी.
Okay, so
You forget ये है पंजाबन है, so
No, definitely. And वो
ghee
लग रही है.
parathe and all that, so I'm sure she must have dabawed quite a few.
Yeah.
Right.
Every day.
No, but I think that is commitment.
But Faridoon, I also believe you'll see a lot more of that now. I think people keep asking us how have things changed. I think this is what has changed. There was a certain vanity about our films. There was a particular look that everybody felt a hero or a heroine needed to look like. I think that is going on. Now it's about the character. Are you being authentic to that character? I think that is very important. Those days are gone कि अगर हीरो के लंबे बाल हों तो वो एक विग लगा के आ जाएंगे या छोटे बाल हों तो विग. I think that वो ज़माना जा रहा है. I think it's about, I mean, even like for example when we did say Bob, Although, I mean, I could not achieve that look. That was a prosthetic on my head. But the rest of the body, I had to put on that weight. And you see a lot.
Did you put on some insane?
Yeah. But I'm used to that. I've done that, I mean, 15 years ago also.
Yeah, he's done the
Guru.
guru.
Yeah.
Guru
Yes.
So I just feel now is the time where your audience is demanding authenticity. उन्हें कहीं भी लगे कि नहीं ये तो cheating कर रहा है ना, then they'll switch off. So like you were discussing about, you know, being engaged. It's about, and more so now, because our attention span has also fallen.
And there's
You
so
know,
much
and
to
with the
watch.
advent of streaming platforms, as we've discussed this before, as compared to cinemas, on a streaming platform, it takes literally 2 minutes.
Right.
If you're bored for 2 minutes, pause, gone, finished.
Absolutely.
In a cinema, you're bored for 2 minutes, you're not going to get up and walk out.
Yeah, you paid so much.
You
to
see,
be
I've paid so
there.
much, I might as well sit here, AC mein so leta hu. So they give you a lot more chances. I think there's a lot more patience of the audience in a cinema as compared to if you're sitting at home. Because you know that I'll press a button, I can watch something else that is more engaging. So I feel, you know, that's the one major change that we're going to start seeing a lot more. Where were you able to achieve the physicality of that character? How much have you invested physically and emotionally into that character?
No, definitely. You know, there is Denzel Washington gets nominated for Best Actor, and there is no criterion for age or how the person is looking. It's like a character. It's basically a character that matters. Okay, मैं आपसे एक बात पूछना चाह रहा था कि अब कंसिडरिंग कि ये फिल्म जो है कुछ हद तक एजुकेशन के बारे में है, बच्चन साहब ने आपके दादाजी का भी जिक्र किया है अभी रिसेंटली. He was this amazing Hindi poet, but maybe I think quite a few people they're not aware of the fact that he was a professor in English in Allahabad University. He taught English and he was a poet
He was a PhD in English literature from Cambridge, yeah.
Correct. So which is quite a contrast, yeah. So he
did his PhD in English literature.
He's one of the most respected English teachers in Allahabad University for the longest period of time, yeah. How do you look at this contrast and beautiful contrast? A Hindi poet and taught English.
I think those times were different, Faridoon. You and I share similar lineage in that respect. You know, we realized that, I mean, for you, your father was one of the most respected poets that this country has ever produced. And I know you don't say it very often, but we being from a similar world, you know, you appreciate true and great talent. And I think we both will agree that that generation, वो किसी और मिट्टी से बने थे वो लोग.
Right.
You know, for them it was so normal. Today हम लोग ये सोचते हैं कि आपने PhD की है अंग्रेजी में, लेकिन आप लिखते थे हिंदी में, वो भी क्लिष्ट हिंदी में. How did you do it? But they did. It was very normal for them. I just think they were just, I mean the way they thought. And I think for poets across the board, I just think they're highly enlightened human beings to be able to pen down their thoughts. That in itself is so difficult. To write down what you're feeling, I think is one of the most challenging things to do. How do you explain an emotion? They have figured out how to explain an emotion. So at that point in time, the language didn't really matter. So I just think that, we're blessed to have been around these kind of people and to learn from them and continue to learn from them because their words are eternal.
Right, even Firaq Gorakhpuri Sahib, he wrote in Urdu, but he was an English professor.
Correct.
Wow.
So which is
Correct.
fascinating.
Correct.
If there are videos of him available on YouTube.
They were the true Renaissance men.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and you've also maybe not spoken about your grandmother.
Ji.
Teji Bachchan ji, because considering आपका किरदार यहाँ पर कुछ हरियाणवी हैं, she was from Punjab.
Yeah.
Do you have memories of her?
Of course. I was very, very lucky, Faridoon. I had all four of my grandparents. And I got to enjoy them and their wisdom and their love for a very, very long time. My Nana was a very eminent writer and journalist as well. My mother's father, Tarun Kumar Bhaduri, was one of the most senior journalists in Madhya Pradesh and was actually one of the authorities on the Chambal Valley.
Wow.
Yeah, and he wrote several books on all the Dakus of the Chambal and knew a lot of them personally. So writing somewhere I've been inherited from both sides. My dadi was predominantly a homemaker, but she was very active in the Delhi theatre circuit, and I think my father's love for acting was something that he learned from my grandmother. And they both, my dada and dadi both, came from two very different worlds.
Exactly.
She came from now, what is now Pakistan, and born and brought up there, and she had a very affluent life. And she gave it all up because of her love for my grandfather, who was this struggling poet slash teacher. And I just felt that kind of romance is just, something we don't get to see. That's true romance. Sure. And I was very lucky because, they lived with us for the longest time. I mean, I lost my Dadaji in 2003 and my Dadi in 2007. My Nana passed away, unfortunately, slightly earlier than that. But I got to spend a lot of time with them and learn from them. So I was very, very lucky. She was the most loving, sophisticated person I've ever met.
I've seen some images and
she's
so,
She was great. She's very prim and proper. I don't remember my Dadi one day without her lipstick and a nail polish and her hair done properly. And she was just wonderful. She was wonderful.
And I think the way Mr. Bachchan took care of your parents, of his parents, was I think is a story of the folklore. It was truly, truly outstanding. We've seen that entire phase, 90s and all that. Okay, and now coming to think about whatever you said about your grandparents, considering you're a very fine producer as well. Just a thought. Do you think that this story can be documented maybe in some, maybe like a web show, like a movie in a way? Just a thought, random thought.
Their story?
Yeah, because it seems very, very interesting.
Yeah, why not? I think my grandfather's life was fantastic, and it's something that I, as a grandson, would want to document for people to enjoy. Because
and you'll see so many takers, you'll be surprised.
I'm sure, but it has to be done very, very correctly. So absolutely. I think that the quest for that would be. I would love for people to talk. My childhood is littered with memories. When I used to come back from boarding school and after dinner, my father would sit my sister and me down, and he used to read Dadaji's poetry to us. I studied in an English medium school. And I was, in Switzerland, so, the first language was English, then your second language, you had to mandatorily do French. Yeah. So there was always this fear of losing touch with Hindi, and my father and my mother were very conscious of that. And I remember every evening he used to sit down, he used to read one of Dadaji's poems and explain them to us, because his poetry was very heavy and Shuddh Hindi. So, they both made such an effort to keep us so connected with our heritage and his legacy. And my father has always believed that, I want to keep my father's legacy alive, as I would my father's. But I also want to keep my grandfather's, because it's so enriching. Just his thoughts, for example. You were referring to Dad's tweet, and that's actually, something that my grandfather wrote, and actually such a beautiful thought. Roughly translated, I'll translate in English, is basically, he's written that my sons will not be my heirs. People who are, उसको अंग्रेजी में कैसे बोलेंगे अभी? उसका अनुवाद कैसे करोगे आप?
Right.
Basically, he was saying that just because you're biologically my son, that doesn't make you my heir. If you do things to make me proud or that serve the higher cause, then you become, So it was about the human consciousness and about putting it out there in that sense. And they just had great thoughts, and his poetry was fantastic and. Really? I know he reads a lot of it, but like I said, poets are just, they're blessed humans. To be able to actually sit down and write down an emotion, I think is something I have major respect for.
No, absolutely.
Poetry, I'd read one quote on, which is so lovely, that poetry is a story untold. When you can't tell a full story, you write poetry.
Wow.
I found that very beautiful.
Yeah, nice.
Wow. Okay. And so, Nimrat, जैसे मैं आपसे जिक्र कर रहा था कि जब आपका जो पहला शॉट आता है प्रोमो के अंदर, and I was like, she is so enjoying herself.
Yeah.
Okay. And are you some sort of a perfectionist? Because it seems like that you become the character that you're playing. यहाँ पर आप सिर्फ वो किरदार ही नजर आ रहे हैं, आप निम्रत कौर आप नजर नहीं आ रहे हैं. I think that there can't be any greater compliment for any actor than the fact that he or she becomes that character, and they convincingly, very, very convincingly. Do you think like that character? What is your process like for getting into it? And then there may be a lot of internalizing and cerebral element going into it, but at the end of the day, you have to make it look entertaining, which it does.
Funny you say that, because my mom just saw the film. We had a screening in Delhi. And she also said that, I couldn't recognize you. So it was nice to hear that. See, I'll tell you, when I heard the part, I did not think of how she's going to look. That was not my first instinct. I think you start building on it from the script onwards. I think I work inside out. not outside in. It's for me, it's not ki how is she going to look and then how is she going to act, and it's not so thought through. I don't know how to explain it. You keep doing readings, then you start imagining the world, because that world has nothing to do with my world. I don't know anyone like that. Neither like what she was before she becomes the chief minister, nor like somebody who becomes the chief minister, you know. So both ends for me were completely unfamiliar. That's where your director, your script writer, your dialect coach in our case, because it's a world which I've never even sort of dipped into. Na? Personally, also, I've never been to a Haryanvi village. Yes, I have my paternal ancestors, you know, who still live in the village, and, you know, not my ancestors, but my father's family, they still live in a village and stuff, but one doesn't know where to start building. So I think you try to find everything in the script. I keep things very simple, and I try to have as much fun with the part as I can. Now, that doesn't mean that every part has to be comedic, or this is the first time I've actually been offered a comedic role, which was a massive a massive breath of fresh air for me, you know, which was also a reason why I couldn't do the kind of work that I would have liked to do, the volume of work I would have liked to do. I was just not excited about the stuff that was coming to me. You know, it was a bit of a repetition of everything that I had already done. So this was, you know, it was a playground for me. I could just go and have a blast. Tushar was very clear, the director of the film, he was very clear that he wanted me to look nothing like what I look like. It was very frightening. I have never put on that kind of weight. I put on 15 kilos by the end of it, not out of a requirement of the number, but just because, you know, once your body starts listening to you, you're telling the body, okay, let's go crazy and eat everything and do what you want. I'm very glad that somewhere I also stopped resisting the idea of not looking like me, because that's not easy to do also. You want to do it, but you know, there is a part of you that doesn't like what you're seeing in the mirror. Your clothes don't fit.
By
It
virtue
feels
of
weird.
what we do, I think vanity is
Yeah.
a large part of what we do.
Absolutely. And Abhishek's done it for, I don't know how many times have you done it now. I don't know how you do it. I'm going to think 10 times before I do this
No,
again.
it's very difficult.
Good Lord.
Yeah, it's not a fun process. I get what you're saying.
Yeah. You know, people
Because
say that,
regardless
oh,
of, I mean, you put it on,
Yeah.
you take it off,
yes.
but it has an effect on your body.
Of course it does. Psychologically, it slows you down. And I had to retain the weight for 3-4 months, for 3 days of work, because a lockdown happened. 3 days of work, and I had to kind of I tried to retain as much as possible, but you know, it was tricky. It's not about the weight. It's not about all of this. The fact is that you just try to have fun with it, and the idea of being an actor is that you don't want to keep living your reality. Now, if I keep bringing myself in everywhere, then why am I an actor? I don't know. Then I should be something else. So I don't like to take it
Nicely
too
said, huh?
seriously.
देखिए
We
बिल्कुल
don't want to live our reality. I like that.
Yeah.
Well done.
I'm
huh,
on a
Nimrat?
roll
Yeah,
today,
you-
huh?
you're
she can
really-
write. There's the
Pearls
writer.
of
Bape.
wisdom.
No, absolutely. Okay.
What did I have for breakfast?
So I was reading one of your interviews, and you mentioned about the fact that Aishwarya told you that there are 10,000 people who are saying good things about you, but there is that one troll and who's maybe writing something negative, and you get impacted by it. You tend to respond as well many times. Your responses, I think, they're extremely witty. You're completing 15 years of marriage on 20th April, as we just...
15 years, really?
15 years, yeah.
Wow.
2007 to 2022.
Brilliant.
So I'm sure that she's had, I think, a great impact in you, because this is a great advice.
Of course. Of course. I think it's high time we just acknowledge that women are the superior species as compared to men, and you know, they just tend to put things into perspective. And you know, my wife is exceptional at that. She's always been an amazing emotional support for me. I've been very lucky. My entire family has been, you know. But the wonderful thing about having a life partner like Aishwarya is she's from the business. She gets it. You know, she's been doing it slightly longer than I have. So she knows the world. She's been through it all. So it's nice when you come home, and if you've had a challenging day, you know that there's somebody who gets it. And if at that point of time you just want to be left alone and just deal with something by yourself, you understand that as not only as an actor that she is, but also she's been in this. So she goes, there are times where you just need to sort stuff out by yourself, so you know, leave him alone. There are times when she recognized that, okay, he needs my support. And as partners, I think we, you know, that's a very synergetic relationship in that way. You do it for each other. But she has been somebody that I have always noticed has managed to traverse some of the most difficult times of her life with utmost
Grace.
dignity and grace. And I really admire that about her. You know, actors are emotional people. We're very, very hypersensitive. And there are times when we might just want to lash out and just, you know, we kind of explode. You can only take so much.
Yeah.
I've never seen her do that. And she's always said this to me, you know, she uses this famous word, water off a duck's back. You know, this phrase. And once we were discussing some time ago, and she said, you know, it's that one negative comment, which is human nature, I get it, that you always highlight and that affects you. Why are you not considering the 10,000 positive comments that have come as well? You should be concentrating on that.
Yeah.
And I think I'm very lucky to have a partner who sets it straight, you know, the way it is. So, yes, first of all, thank you. And yeah, I'm very, very lucky. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Nimrat Kaur.
And I'm Abhishek Bachchan.
And you're watching
BollywoodHungama.com.
.com.
Keep watching.
Keep watching.